Hey guys, Anfield here, and welcome to a video all about gear and my plans going forward with the new Sovereign weapons coming to the game on the 12th of September. Now, in 2020, I made a video outlining what progress a whole year had given me, and I hadn't really looked back on it until recently. It was kind of neat to see the difference, and also what gear looked like 4 years ago and over the progression of that year. This made me wonder about what my aims would be now and what I'd like to achieve with the gear build-wise. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, show you what I have at the moment and what I'd like to have and why, and I hope that you enjoy. Just a quick disclaimer, this video is going to be a COPE and PMA video, so for the purposes of this video, I will be avoiding mention of the game's current problems with progression or motivation related to them, or my views on the current state of Ranger. So just to recap, everything is awesome and I can't wait to get more gear. Oh, and also I should mention that this is not a how to build Ranger guide. This is for my own purposes. I am not recommending anything here. If you want gear advice, feel free to ask me on my stream though. Okay, hello. Right, so this part isn't going to be scripted because quite frankly everything I want to talk about is a little bit too complex and nuanced that a script would take me way longer than just kind of having a little bit more of scuffed off the riff sort of thing. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. Gear wise, this is September 3rd. I say 3rd, it's really just gone past midnight and I'm doing these things really late as usual. So this is what I have, right? Awakening Ranger, still my priority. I don't care about Succession, sorry. But yeah, Awakening Ranger. So this is what I would run kind of more standardly. The only kind of uncapped PvP I have to test this is Guild League at the moment, so that's what we have to work with. As for what we're doing here today, really I only care about PvP. So that's the other thing. If you're PvE oriented, it's quite simple. Build as much AP as you can, 5 debos, max your sovereign weapons as much as you can. If you're awakening, obviously awakening weapon. If you're not awakening, then obviously your main hand bow. So anyway, so back to PvP, right? So you can see here I do have Tongue Red Belt. That's the AP I could run with this offhand. Now you never really want to run Awakening Ranger like this because it would just melt, and the power wouldn't really be there the way that you'd want it. You still have to combo people. You would blow someone up a lot faster, but you'd also struggle to just get a chance to do that. So anyway, going back, right? So I built evasion. As a lot of you that watch my stream know, I've had evasion since always, and I just don't really want to swap. Evasion is a little strange right now with how it is. We'll have to see if things change. I was actually talking to Chicken today on stream. Shout out to Chicken if you ever watch this for some unknown reason. And he was just talking about how it might be better with the new artifacts coming from Dekia. Obviously right now we have the only super artifacts we have are the Caboas. So we're getting like new DP oriented artifacts from Dekia level 2, which we don't have here on NA and EU. That's Korean only content until I guess we get sovereign weapons, which is soon. So yeah, this is where I'm at the moment. Now, how does my build work? So yeah, I'll just go over that. We have 3 debos at the moment. I really need to get one here, but I don't have it yet. So yeah, at the moment it's a little bit awkward. Because if I want to go even tankier, I do actually have an ethereal earring to go on there, and no matter what, if you have 2 DP accessories, you're never going to have the 5 debo set, so you just kind of accept that that's a thing anyway, and just make sure you have 3, which I don't if I run this. So yeah, that's where we would definitely want some debos here. Tongue Red just isn't really worth it. I just still have them. These basically Tet. I guess you could call these Tet debo rings without the potential to add the bonus, so that's not super great, but eventually I will replace them with debos. But this is like a more tanky set. I can go tankier. The most tanky, you'd be looking at the Splendid Protection Stone. I don't actually have a DP artifact setup at the moment. I'll go into that in a second. But you can also obviously go like DP setup, and if you were DR, you'd go like Kadri, but I'm not going to talk about DR too much. Because I'm not recommending one build or the other. But it just as a reference, that would, you'd run like a Kadri, and then you'd have the ability to have a debo belt, and So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. I don't really run this, for example, even though it's 301, just because the evasion loss is really high. and it's not 305 anyway, so it's only 301 that you get, and yeah. So I don't run this. I only would run this, or more likely this. Oh, it doesn't want to replace that. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. So this is 3-set Debo right now. It would be 5-set with these two, but again, I'm PMA, but I don't like grinding that much. I've never really liked grinding, and it feels like for me when the PvP is at its peak is where I really uncapped PvP, so I really want to get gear, so I'm motivated to grind, basically. But yeah, so Debo's here, and then this is only here because I don't have an offensive alchemy stone. Otherwise, I failed it loads years ago, but the best in slot is always going to be a splendid. So the second I can get rid, okay, apparently that was not the. This was the way to do it, apparently. So yeah, I failed this way too many times. Very depressing, but this is BIS. Well, it's not BIS, technically, those who know, but it is achievable just. But I was super unlucky, and I'm still molding about it even to this day, as you can tell. Also, I will, like, when money is no longer a problem that I need to sink into, there's a lot of money things coming up, including the Debos I still need and the Solve weapons, but I actually do want potentially one, maybe more. I was actually keeping an eye on these, and I almost bought one, but I was like, ooh, maybe they'll go lower, and then nope, of course, they went straight back up. So that was quite sad. I don't know if this is because of the new artifacts coming, or people are just like, wow, that got really low. I genuinely don't know. As for Dawns, yeah, I mean, I did think that, like, obviously I only need one replacement, so that could be penned on. And then, you know, double Deba Rekka Ring, if that makes sense. So that's an option too. So there's a couple things we'll use Garmoth to go over. We can do it, yeah. But yeah, so this is where we're at right now. Now, before we go into Garmoth and talk about the future, I do want to talk about crystals and lightstones. So obviously, a defensive build is interesting. What do you sacrifice, right? Because that's always your question. What do I sacrifice in a defensive build? So let me show you. The first sacrifice here is I'm not using DP artifacts in a DP lightstone set, which would be a lot of extra DP, make me really tanky. Because ultimately, I don't want to be a floor tank, a carpet, really, because there are classes that are just way better at that. So why would I even try to compete with a carpet build on a class that isn't really meant? So what you want is enough to combo, but that keeps you safe. That's my goal. Obviously, I'm still doing it via evasion. DR is very popular. They finally they made evasion worse, I'll just say that right now, than it was. And on the same patch, they finally gave evasion to Rangers. Incredible scenes that we finally got evasion self buffs, and they made evasion worse. But, you know, you could do this with DR, but yeah, so I'm still trying with evasion because I've always ran evasion. It just goes back to a game I played before where the bow class was evasion. So I just always want to do it anyway. I think it's more interesting build-wise, but anyways. So, yeah, so I have, right now, as you can see, I have double ranged AP with Blight. So, some of you obviously may already twig what the goal of this build currently is, and it's, you know, aside from just I would need better gear, it's just enough evasion, but also to shred targets that have DR. So this is a DR shredding build, so I'll just quickly show you the crystals too. So this is I have more actually, but I have, for defensive purposes, I have 3 builds that are PvP defensive, and then I have 1 build that's like Suck Ranger. This is the Suck Ranger build if anybody cares, as it currently is with the crystals available. So if you're interested, but this is the build I was running today for Guild League, for example, because DR is more common, but there are a few evasion players that crop up, so just difficult to deal with, but you really aren't looking to like shit on an evasion player. But most players that are blasting, what I mean by that is they just do damage, are running like sort of just standard. I have DR shoes and DR gloves, but you know they have all offensive crystals and all the rest of it. to shred those players, all you want is just a real nice amount of power and then enough, you know, normal defenses. So what you can see here is there's no Jin Vipers. So this is kind of a mixed balance. So you've got like the bitterness crystals for the evasion and DR. That's another thing I should mention. I do try to keep my DR quite high as well as my evasion. But anyway, so this is HB now. I do think that's a lot of HB. Could you replace it now that the special evasion is gone? You could. You could throw in more DR. You could throw in 2 Hooms if you'd prefer them. I haven't looked at it really yet since they made the change because, you know, activity. You could throw in 2 Macalods here to get a little bit more power. The 2 set gives you 8 total more AP, so that's an option too. And the Hooms, you know, you do recover some of that HB, although only 300, so that's 300 versus what, 1600 something, 1700. You do get the DR and you do get a bit of evasion. But it's only like, you know, what, 20 evasion. So it's not nothing, but I don't know. At the moment, I'm still happy with the DR. But again, the only reason I'm showing you this is because this is your other option, right? You could go with double max, or you could just be like, no, actually, I'm gonna go double Hoom for a little bit more tankiness that way. Your other option is to do double DR crystals. So that's 7 DR. I don't know if that's, what is that, 7 DR, and you get the 2 resistance, and the resistance is irrelevant, don't worry about that. So is that better? That's 14, right? So this is at 11. Yeah, I guess the Hooms would be better on evasion for sure, but on technically that is more DR. You don't really want any evasion if you're a DR player because you're just not going to have enough of it. So if you get evasion for free, that's fine, but it's not going to do anything. It's more just what gives you more DR. This gives you more HP, but less DR. Anyway, so that's kind of where you build. So these are the kind of things. These are the kind of things you're always testing. You should always be testing. Like, you want to limit test. What can I get away with is the question you're asking. You're not always necessarily being like, can I survive being knocked down on the floor? It's more, can I survive while in combat and protecting myself and not being basically annihilated while standing? That's what your goal is. So again, we got the L-cars. You need those for the ignore resistance. The extra accuracy is nice if you do face an evasion player, but you're probably going to struggle with the build I have because I'm a Gurlit. Double Olakas, attack speed's nice. Human damage, accuracy, again, nice. Red crystals, a lot of AP, a little bit of HP. RBF Vipers, huge amount of human damage. Karme, nice human damage. And then the double Harfy for the evasion. Again, if you were like a DR player, this build could be switched around where you go like, get rid of these and go double 4 Hooms. Because I'm evasion, you don't get more evasion than Harfia. So that's 40 evasion. So yeah. The other stats are not really that relevant, but yeah, the evasion is really nice. So that's the, like, here's how I mix and match to kill a DR target. This is a tankier build, so it has a couple differences. It's not full tanky. I guess there's like more you could do to be tankier, but yeah. So this build has 1 Viper in it because it's kind of a mix and match. But to be honest with you, probably should just ditch that for something else. Again, here I have the ignore resistance. I hate resistances. So this would be like my standard. I don't know what gear you have build, if that makes sense. So like, I'm just like feeling you out. This is the build I'd probably run in general until I like, you know, so in a 1v1, for example, or a small scale, if I think that there's like players that might be evasion, might be DR, you know, this feels it out a little bit. It's, yeah, I mean, I'll scroll down again. So yeah, the Hete tier is nice. I have it here too, and in also this one, I believe. So Hete tier, it goes in there. I didn't mention it, but it's pretty, you know, it goes without saying. This is the anti-evasion build. It's very similar. The main difference here, of course, is the double Viper, because duh, it's anti-evasion. You need more accuracy, so that also goes without saying. So yeah, I'm always tweaking this, just to be clear. There might be somebody in the comments to be like, actually, mathematically, but you're probably right. But you know, the days where I would spend years in Battle Arena practicing not only the class but also builds, you know, currently they're not around, so we're just hoping for that to come. And again, PMA. Anyway, so yeah, that's crystals. And then just again, to kill DR, I just wanted a ton of human damage, so that's why I went with the Blight set. It seems to be the best balance for me. So ranged AP, Blight, and then I have what I would run. This is what I would run against a target that is likely to be more evasion oriented. Now you could run, this is also a bit balanced as well, by the way, but you could run like a full accuracy set, right? If you really felt like that's what they're going for. You might want like maiming or something, although I think maiming takes stats away from you, so you have to be careful what you do build. But this one is 8 AP, 12 accuracy, 75 stamina, 5% crit just on the actual set bonus, and then of course you get the stats from the actual thing, so it's more like 16 accuracy, so you know, you get the point. Anyway, so this is double ranged accuracy, so this is what I would run. It's still pretty good against DR, but the ranged accuracy is pretty pointless. Like the artifacts is pretty pointless. And then yeah, the set bonus is pretty nice all around, right? You get a lot from the crit damage. You get, people can't specially evade critical damage anymore, so you know, that's quite nice. It lets you chew through that HP pretty nicely, although DR is better. I'm sorry, AP is better for it in my opinion. So yeah, that's another like thing that I, you know, just to throw in there. And of course, in an ideal world, I actually have accuracy accessories to throw on in case I need them. I just can't afford it. I'm already struggling for what I need to be able to afford, so that's why. Like in a perfect world, I'll throw in accuracy accessories and be able to shit on someone with evasion, because you can, unfortunately. That's, you know, accuracy accessories are really giga. Class has got a ton of accuracy, so it's harder to make evasion work than it was. You need more numbers, hence why Chicken's talking about these new artifacts. So we'll see how that changes it. With the new artifacts, I'm not going to talk about them too much more after this, but I would mention that there's a chance that you might run some of these Lightstone sets I've showed you, but in those artifacts. So you run the defensive artifacts because they're so good, and then you run the offensive Lightstones, if that makes sense. Again, it's always a give and take. You know, you can always try different things that you might like. Try to do the math a little bit, sure, but like ultimately you might be like, oh, I really like having that on, but having like the Succession Ranger PvP build or something, so I get all the damage from the crystals instead. Try it if you want to, but you know, again, you're not going to necessarily get that recommended here, but again, you should be trying. So yeah, I don't use these. These are just here because, well, they're, I guess you could I could turn them into narcs, I guess. I was going to try the 200% build with Tungrad, but then they nerfed the attack speed from rage absorbing 200%, so I abandoned it. So I guess I could turn them into narcs, but I'm not even going to use the narcs. But I guess narcs are better in PvE because of the Kama damage, but yeah, PvE, lol. Alright, anyways, so we're going to move on to Garmoth. And so what you're seeing here is mostly what I already have, except for, sovereign weapons. Now, just to quickly show you, I can build, where the hell is it? Oh, I can make both sovereign weapons. I have double Pen Blackstar on both slots, so I will be making both sovereign weapons. However, enhancing two sovereign weapons is an entirely different beast, if you will, and that is not happening. I will make it +2 or something, the weapon, the longbow, just because that's probably what I can afford. Oh, another mention, just quickly. I haven't really done the slots for these. Sorry. I haven't decided. I will play around with it a lot. I don't know how difficult they will be to obtain, so I'm not going to mention it just because I haven't thought about it, okay? So it's just sheet stats, really. Okay, so my goal is a +8 fiery sovereign weapon. I don't know why I said fiery, that's kind of weird. But anyway, you get the point. I just want +8. This is Oct. Wow, it's going to be really hard. I don't know, those of you maybe watched Hugh's enhancing video. Bro had like 800,000 crons and made both of them Nov. This is +9. I honestly, if he could channel that to me, that like will to grind, that's insane. Bro is crazy. And on EU, I play on EU, really hard to get outfits to melt, unlike NA. So yeah, but would be amazing. Anyway, so yeah, this is my goal. This isn't my goal because it's going to hit a bracket, by the way, just to throw that out there. It's my goal because I think I can do it, but we might end up with this, or maybe a little bit more optimistically this, which both, not ideal. But I really want this because it glows. This is just not going to happen for me for a very, very long time. So we're going to go this, right? So let's say that, Land in the Morning Light 2 releases. I'm going to assume I don't improve my gear anywhere else. By the way, I failed Tet on my armor a lot. Haha. And most of those fails before the pity system. Ha. So just so you know, I would love Tet armor, but now we'll talk about that. Where do I throw the priority in to get Tet armor? I don't know. Right now, this is the priority. Just the huge amount of stats gained, really important. Glowy effect, really important. So we're going to go for that. Anyway, so, 310, even with my other terrible supporting cast of accessories, is really good. 309 AP bracket would be insane with a Centaur belt. So yeah, that's a really good goal. Let me just take a swig of drink because I've been talking a lot. Professional YouTuber. So yeah, okay, so let's assume that this is, September 12th comes around. Whoa, look we got the sovereign weapons up to what I wanted. Incredible. RNG favors me for once. Would be a nice change of pace. So this is what we'd be looking at, right? So then we're going, okay, what's next, right? I would love to be able to do this. So cool. I can't. Now the bow, I might just do this on the bow just to get it up a little bit, you know what I mean? This doesn't look good, does it? Let's be real. +5 is not cheap, or pen. Still know how to say that. Pen is not cheap, by the way. It's not as outrageous as this, but it's not cheap. But let's just say I get it to pen because it just looks ugly, and I just can't deal with it. So let's just say that. Then where do I put my money? So that's the progression question later. Where do things go? Where do I invest? So, just quickly, before we go into that. So what it would look like if I had the arboreal, ethereal earring, it would be 293. So we're not quite 294. I think that's the bracket. No, wait, 93 is the bracket, isn't it? Yes, that sounds right. I know I can check on here, but I think that's right. So yeah, that's nice. So 293. Yeah, it's not really enough. It might be enough to shred like your standard blaster, but I want a little bit more threat against those people that invest a teeny bit more into their DR, throw a bit more crystals on. Not that Suck Ranger crystal build I showed you earlier. That people that really, they're looking after themselves, so to speak. Anyway, so just going to quickly go back to this. Right, so where do we go? Okay, so our options are we go Tet on armor. Maybe we can finally succeed. But that's like a 4% chance. We're throwing away 2,700 crons each click. It needs the fail stacks, which is going to be absorbed by these. I think it's going to be too difficult. I could buy it, but they're so expensive. I'm really difficult. I struggle to save the money. So enhancing is probably the way I'm going to go. So that's going to be difficult. So that really, we go back to the accessories. So what I was thinking is that we could go J hammers. It depends how quickly I progress on this, but we could J hammer a 1 earring, right? So we have 1 earring done. That way, whenever we swap, we just swap the Tet one out for that, and then eventually maybe we go for a pen. But so then there's the rings, right? So let's just say we have double Tet rings. I think this is a no-brainer for me at this point. If we just go back to this quickly, let's pretend we do this first, because I think I might. Obviously the same as X stats, because they're pound for pound the same as the Tongue Guard ring. I'll just try and sell the Tongue Guard ring, recoup a little bit of the money. Then we have to try and get pen on these. Now we're looking at more interesting stats, right? We go boom, boom. One of them alone isn't enough, but 2 of them is 316. So we're looking at like, ooh, that looks good. Now, the discussion is, this is great. This is 5 set, but do we say, okay, this is more important or easier or cheaper than this. So again, I'll just show you. So this is 312, right? So if we go one of these, it's not quite 316, you see. So you kind of need both of them. And we go back to do that. So yeah, it's hard, right? Like, ooh. I mean, all the time, by the way, we have to know that eventually I'm going to do this. So ultimately, we need to do something crazy. Or, well, actually, obviously, we wouldn't do that. Let's just say we do this, and then we'd have it, or even this, and then we go back to 8. You know, it just depends on finances. But this is roughly what I'm looking at. I don't know if he has these new crystals in here, or lights. Oh, he does. Oh. My man. Scow is too good. So we can have a look quickly at the stats. So, yeah. I mean, ultimately, 250 HP, 24 evasion, and 50 stamina. Is that right? Is that what the actual artifact's giving? I guess so. That's got to be this, right? That's a lot, man, between the two of them. Let me just make sure that's... Yeah. Right? So that's 2... Oh, wait, hang on. No, it's... Oh, no way. Sorry, I haven't actually really looked at these before. Wow, so it's 48 of 8. Oh, my days. That is... That's got to be why the accuracy accessories are starting to go back up. That's got to be. Okay, very interesting. Very demure. Okay, well, all right. So, yeah, lots of things, basically. So this is what we're really looking at. So in the immediate future, we obviously need to do something here. And we might look like this for a bit, which is really nice. 309 AP. It's really good. I just need for my own set. I need to see what the DR ones give. 12 DR, 250. Okay, so, yeah. You might think, oh, that's way less than evasion, but DR is like much more better. Much more better. What the hell is wrong with... They're much better pound for pound, stat for stat than evasion. Like, so less weighted DR means more. Part of the reason that I like the ethereal earring is that although its evasion isn't nearly the same as a centaur belt, which gives 60, this one only gives 30, which is half, but it does give 5 DR. Almost like a narc, and I like having my DR there, so it's something that I like to have a decent amount of DR. It's why I don't like distortion earrings, and while I'd never run a distortion earring, I try to not run, or I just don't run artifacts or lightstones, that drop my AP, or sorry, my DR. So yeah. Anyway, because some people obviously would be like, oh, you could go Pendisto, they're pretty cheap, right? And it would help you hit brackets sooner. Oh, look, you could only do that one, and you with a hammer, and you'd have to. Yes, but I don't like the minus DR. I never have. Plus, for the 5 set, I need the full debos anyway, so. That's pretty much it. Not much else to say. It has been a rant. If you're still here, you're crazy. I appreciate you so much. We are ready for sovereign weapons in terms of a lot of things are ready for sovereign, like the double weapons, but I have 28 billion right now. I have almost 2 weeks to grind more. Come to my stream, chat to me, help me get through the grind. That would be really appreciated. I only have 10,000 crons. Obviously, I have the silver. I'm going to spend the silver on crons too, of course. Lots of memory fragments, but it doesn't really look like that's going to be the problem. It just genuinely is cron. I even have artisans. We have fail stacks for it for the most part. So fail stacks are pretty much sorted, but yeah, it's... It's the crons. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed the little TED Talk on my gear, what I'm trying to do with it. Again, I don't recommend anything I'm doing to anybody. It's not a guide, but that's what I'm trying to do. I really wish I'd gotten a TED armor piece when I didn't have crazy things to say for. but it just didn't want to go, and I only have 3 Agris Essence because most of my fails are before that system came in. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the stream, hopefully. I'll see you next time.